that regard.
Well, how do you see glass evolving as a medical tool sort of right now? I mean, you're in the thick of it, effectively doing beta testing in your own profession. How do you see it evolving sort of day to day? And what do you think it will be doing very shortly?
Well, I think that some of the imminent uses, and mainly because there are developers who are already commercializing or trying to commercialize platforms that comply with privacy laws in the U.S. mainly. I think one of those uses is going to be the video conferencing and the transmission of information to integrate glass, not just with the medical providers, but with the medical record. Once you can do that and keep that information, that patient information, be it the patient's face or the patient's voice or the patient's data, once you can secure that information, then that will explode. And I think those are the areas that are really exploding. Using glass in the clinical setting during, for example, taking a history on ideas in how you use it. And I think that in medicine, the main hurdle that was really already conquered was the bypassing of the Google server, so that you can have the information not go through the Google server, hence keeping the data private. Once that's been done, and has been done already, I think that we can imagine in many ways that Google Glass can be used in healthcare. But I think telemedicine and telementoring and integration with the electronic medical records are the three areas that glass will really very, very quickly evolve in healthcare.
You're a trauma surgeon yourself, so I'm wondering, how does glass affect the potential interactions that you can have during the immediate hour after traumatic injury?
Well, a tool like glass that allows better communication, faster, better connectivity with the end hospital, for example, where you can have let's say a group of emergency medical providers, EMS providers in an ambulance, maybe connect with the ER from the scene using glass and showing the people in the emergency department what they are seeing from their own perspective, and connecting in a live stream of information with the emergency department. It's something that will really save lives, I think. As a trauma surgeon, we deal with acuity. We'll deal with problems that really benefit from time. The time factor is very important in trauma and emergency medicine. And if you can cut the time by using a device that allows you to virtually be present, both ways. They bring the patient to the surgeon, bring the surgeon to the patient in a virtual way, using a device, a bridge like glass. I think that the potential benefit is very intuitive.
You're obviously on the cutting edge of this field. What is the current state of the art that you're aware of with glass and medical usage? I know you said that currently there are issues around patient privacy that still need to be resolved, but I'm wondering in terms of testing and how people in the profession are approaching such types of computing, where is the cutting edge here?
Well, there's a lot of sub-fields in medicine where glass is being used, and one of them being emergency medicine, one of them is visits in the office, office visits for home care. There's people trying to integrate video from video sources like endoscopes or laparoscopes, surgical microscopes, integrate that video feed to glass. That is something that's really very interesting when you can integrate a live video feed from an endoscope or from a camera that's inside the abdomen to the glass view, so that the user can see that view directly in front of their eyes without having to look at the big screen in the operating room. That would be very interesting, and people is working on that. People is working on augmented reality integration with Google Glass, where you could have in the screen an image that is really not a real image, but a virtual image that is created by glass to improve the real image instead of a superimposed reality to the actual reality that you're seeing in front of your eyes. People is working on that, and I've seen some examples of that, and it's pretty interesting, pretty phenomenal. I think that will bring the use of glass, a little extra mile, from what we have been talking about in the last few minutes.
What do you think that glass and devices like it will mean for the way in which surgeons work going forward?
Well, I think that it'd be something very, very interesting what glass in the future will be able to help surgeons do in the operating room, where you could have some information streamed to right in front of your eye, where you don't have to look away if you want to check a laboratory result, or if you want to check a radiologic image of a patient. If you could have that information right in front of your eye, if you want to maybe stream a live image of what you just found in an operation, you want to stream that image to a colleague who has more expertise than you do, or if you are in trouble and you're in the middle of an operation and you want to have a colleague come and help you, but they can't physically do it, they could virtually do it, and you can show them exactly what you're seeing. I think that has to be, that must be a use that glass will have in the very near future. There's no reason why not. There's no hardware or software reason why that can't happen. And now there's no a regulatory reason why it can't happen now that we have applications that allow us to do that, complying with the privacy laws in the U.S. So I can see that happening very quickly and helping surgeons do better surgeries, reminding surgeons, for example, of certain things that need to be done right before the surgery starts, just like the jetliner pilots do all the checklists. Surgeons, we do checklists all the time, and despite that, the number of errors, especially all around the world, but the number of errors in the U.S. especially are unacceptable and unsustainable. We have almost 400,000 patients who might be dying or having problems because of medical errors every year. And if glass can improve on the way we do our checklists right before we do surgery, right before we give a drug, I think that would translate into much better medical care.
It sounds fascinating and extremely exciting. I mean, I'm sure that anybody would wish for better medical care, and devices that can help us achieve that are obviously extremely important. You've told us about point-of-eye information from EMTs and first responders. That's obviously critically useful when you're trying to make diagnosis and to save lives. And technology is obviously a crucial component of medical care. Finally, Dr. Grossman, I'd like to get from you just a summation of where you see not just technologies like glass, but where you see medical technology in general going as we move forward into a much more connected world.
Oh, that is a fascinating field. I see myself as what some people call a futurist. I see myself as a healthcare futurist because I would like to think about the future. I like to think myself as a technologically technophilic person, as a futurist, and I think that the way technology is evolving in an exponential way, where things are not advancing linearly, but exponentially in regards to not just the cost of things, the computing technology is advancing so exponentially in regards to the capacity of the memory that we have, the speed of the devices that we have, the ability of the device to process much faster information. That is advancing at such a pace that very soon, we're going to have devices that will have almost the computing power of the human brain or beyond. And I think that devices will be able to make our lives much better, make medical care much better. I think that if you combine that with the parallel advancement on nanotechnology, on robotics, on pharmacogenomics, I think that combination will be translated into a type of healthcare that we can only dream of right now. I think that we're really getting into a very interesting era in regards to what we're going to be able to achieve in medical care.
So, thank you for sharing your insights and your knowledge. I'm sure that there's a great deal more that you have to say, and a great deal more that we could learn from you. I wish you all the very best in your future endeavors.
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate your interest, and anytime. Okay, anytime.
You're most welcome. Thank you, sir.
You take care. Have a good one.
This is WHYY. I'm Robin Bloom with this week's Arts Shuffle. This Saturday, July 13th, Philadelphia celebrates Bastille Day with activities in the Fairmount neighborhood, including a block party starting at 10 a.m., Bearded Ladies Cabaret performance and storming of the Bastille reenactment at Eastern State Penitentiary at 4:30 p.m., along with much more French-themed entertainment centered around 22nd and Fairmount. The annual Blob Fest invades the Colonial Theatre this weekend, a family-friendly celebration of the 1958 classic sci-fi movie filmed in and around Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, with showings of the Blob movies, a street fair, and more Friday through Sunday, July 12th through 14th. Celebrate Haddonfield, New Jersey's 300th birthday at the 21st Annual Fine Art and Crafts Festival this weekend, July 13th and 14th, with fine artists and crafters, music, food, and more from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday and noon to 5 p.m. on Sunday. The Delaware Shakespeare Festival performs The Two Gentlemen of Verona, opening this weekend through July 28th and featuring adoptable dogs from Faithful Friends Animal Shelter at Rockwood Park in Wilmington. The national tour of I Love Lucy Live on Stage, the brand new hit theater show adapted from the TV program, kicks off Wednesday, July 17th through August 4th at Harrah's in Atlantic City. And there's more to do. Visit the Arts Shuffle at whyy.org. I'm Robin Bloom.
You're listening to the Business, Life, and Coffee Show, where business leaders and health experts give insight while you take a break from the daily grind. Your host, Joey Price, is an entrepreneur with over a decade of startup experience and CEO of the managed HR services firm Jumpstart HR. Want to join the conversation or have an idea for the show? Tweet us at BizLifeCoffee or Joey directly at Joey V. Price HR with the hashtag BLCMoments. Want more episodes? Head on over to iTunes to subscribe. Business, Life, and Coffee, personal development for busy professionals. Now let's get to the show.
We make them and break them all the time. Those goals to eat better and get in shape. Now we're several weeks into the new year and the cravings hit. You resisted those salty and sweet treats, biscuits at breakfast, and creamy fettuccine Alfredo. But now they're calling your name. So what do you do to resist? Liz Josephsberg is a health, wellness, and weight loss expert who has helped celebrities across the world like Jennifer Hudson and Jessica Simpson on their weight loss journey. She joins us this morning on the Business, Life, and Coffee Show with some crave-busting ideas to help us make better choices and stay on, and in some cases, get back on the right path. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning, Joey.
So Liz, let's get straight to the meat and potatoes here. Why do you think that people give up so easily on their goals to eat better in the new year?
You know, honestly, I think, and research is actually showing this, about a third of people fall off just 2 weeks into their healthy resolutions. Honestly, I've been in this business for about 15 years. I've lost weight myself, and I think people really get stuck in a rut with what to eat. And they don't know how to make it exciting or fun, and they get very bored, and they want something. You know, maybe they're craving something sweet or salty, fries or dessert, and they just don't even know how to make a healthier version of it or to be creative about it. So I think really boredom and feeling like, okay, just 2 or 3 weeks in, like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to do this for the rest of my life? And not realizing you can make it fun, you can make it really interesting and taste great.
Yeah, I made a commitment for the first 21 days of January to go without meat and animal products. And it's been incredibly, incredibly tough. I wouldn't say bored, but I would say very, very, very tough.
Oh, well, I hope maybe some of these ideas that I have on here today can help you.
Yeah, I really hope so too. And what are some of the recommendations that you give to clients to help them stay on track?
Great. Well, I'm here. I'm very excited. I'm partnering actually with Bolt House Farms. And I've brought a couple of crave busters along. First, I think knowing what you're craving, right? Is it salty or is it sweet? Are you dreaming about French fries? You know, what is it that you're looking for? And then finding that healthier substitute, if you will. So today I brought along one of my favorite, and actually something that even my kids will eat, which are baked carrot fries. So simple to make. You really just chop up a carrot, you toss it in a little bit of olive oil and bake it. And they're delicious, right? A wonderful substitute for French fries. And I think, so that's a great, easy substitute. But how do you keep it interesting is, you know, I've got it paired here with a trio of different dipping sauces. And kind of keeping it interesting that way. You can put it into a ranch and it tastes one way, or a blue cheese and it's another, or even a balsamic, and you have a whole different kind of feel to this thing. So you really want to keep it interesting and have things that are full of flavor, but lower in calories and lower in fat, right?
Yeah, and variety is the spice of life. So that's awesome. 3 different ways to have carrot fries.
Yeah, and is it maybe it's salty that you're that you're looking for, or is it dessert that you're looking for, right? So there's something pretty kind of trendy and hot going on right now, which are called mug cakes. Have you heard of these?
I think I've seen them on Pinterest somewhere.
Yes. Yes. So I'm so excited about this because I love dessert, and I think you can't really live life without something sweet.
No.
So we have a wonderful, it's a carrot mug cake. And the thing about the mug cakes that are so awesome is, number one, they're easy, right? So you just put these ingredients into a mug and you stir it up and you microwave it, and it makes a little cake for you, and it's the right size. And we've made it here with carrot juice. Instead of even having to cut carrots, you get the flavor of, the carrot cake in there. And then you have this wonderful portion-controlled, delicious treat. So that can kind of bust your sweet cravings. It's a good one.
Yeah, that's my thing, dessert. I'm a sucker for a good cheesecake or ice cream, and having some healthy alternatives there. Do you have any other dessert tips while we're at it?
Dessert for me is all about quality, right? So you want to make something in the quality and quantity, of course, right? So for me, it's all about getting to things that are delicious, lower in sugar, like good dark chocolate can be a wonderful substitute. You can cut a lot of sugar just by getting a really high quality dark chocolate and eating a small amount of it. And that can really bust those sweet cravings. So take a look. I love to go and really just shop that dark chocolate aisle and try a new one. Again, variety, the spice of life. Try it with almonds, try it with, try it plain, try a sea salt, try it all different types, and you can really find one that you love. So yeah, keep that sweet. You got to satisfy the sweet cravings. Again, in my line of work, the devil is in the boredom. So dinners are tough. I've got a wonderful, for you especially, if you're trying to go meatless, I have a fantastic substitute or a new take on fettuccine Alfredo. I've made it with zucchini noodles here. And what we've done is, again, you've swapped out that sort of the higher calorie pasta, high carb pasta for this delicious zucchini noodle. And this is very trendy, very hot to eat zucchini noodles. And a lot of people say to me like, oh, well, this is so difficult. But I want you to take a look in your refrigerated section in your vegetable aisle. You might notice that your grocery store is already making zucchini noodles for you, so you don't have to go through the drama of making them. And then I've tossed it here with a creamy roasted garlic, yogurt-based Bolthouse Farms dressing, and it's delicious. So you have a meatless alternative, creamy and delicious, but lower in calories, lower in fat. You're getting vegetable servings in. So this is a great one for you going meatless.
That's nice. And for those that are listening, I actually have these recipes here, so I'll post them on our site, businesslifeandcoffee.com, for those that are salivating like I am listening to these recipes.
Absolutely. Well, and I've got one more, and this is close to my heart because it's mine. I actually created this recipe this isn't for you till you're done with your 21 days, but a delicious baked wing recipe. And the secret here, and I made this up myself, is honestly, first, I'm marinating those wings in a ranch dressing in a Ziploc bag for a couple of hours before I bake them. What this does is it tenderizes them a little bit, and that makes it really tender and crispy on the outside when you actually bake them. So these are not fried, they're baked. So after you marinate them, you toss them in whatever sauce you want. I've created a sauce on the recipe, but you can tweak that even for a little spicier, a little less spicy. And then you bake these wings, and they are just to die for. People don't even realize that they are healthier and lower in fat and can be a real great thing to bring to a party.
Well, we're heading into the big sports event time of the year with the Super Bowl and March Madness and all that. So my 21 days will be over soon, and I can't wait.
Well, good for you for sticking to it. I do love that when you make a commitment and you stand by it. Nothing feels quite so great, right?
Yeah. And let's go back a little bit. And where can we find more information about you and about some of these recipes and about just about everything that we're talking about here today with Bolthouse Farm?
Great. So definitely you'll want to check out the Bolthouse Farms Pinterest page. That's going to be probably the easiest place to find these recipes. And you could check out the Facebook and Instagram at Bolthouse Farms to get a little bit more information about all of this, a little more information about me. I'd hope you'll follow us and see all the great things we're doing. We're really putting out a lot of great, healthier recipes for the new year, trying to keep people motivated and inspired.
Thanks, Liz. And one thing just before I go, you work with a lot of celebrities, male and female, from all different genres and industries. What are some of the tips that you tell them that we can take away as well for our sticking to our diet and health?
Absolutely. I think probably the most important tip to remember is that each one of us is an individual and we all have personal challenges, and we need to really look at our own lives and see, are you a busy mom that's, traveling and working, or are you a stay-at-home mom? Are you, a guy who has to work all day long and can't fit in exercise? It's really about looking at your personal life, because all of those celebrities that I helped, they were all very individual. And what we did to really kind of get that weight off and keep it off for good was we didn't make it a one-size-fits-all thing, right? Even these recipes that I brought here today, one of these may appeal to you while another doesn't. Don't just eat what I said to eat because you think I know what I'm talking about. Find it out what really is good for you, right? So it's kind of like really looking into what you need and what you want. Weight loss is really about kind of putting yourself back into a priority position in your own life. That's what really works for people, and figuring yourself out and then really making a commitment to it, kind of like you have, sticking to it.
Awesome. Staying true to you is what I hear you say. So, Liz, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us on the Business, Life, and Coffee Show, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Joey.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Business, Life, and Coffee Show with Joey Price. We hope you're inspired to become the best version of yourself after listening to our guest. What thought or idea stood out the most to you? Keep the conversation going by tweeting the show at BizLifeCoffee or our host at Joey V. Price HR with the hashtag BLC Moments. And if you like what you just heard, pass along our podcast to at least 5 people. Detailed show notes can be found at www.businesslifeandcoffee.com, and our full archive is available on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, and Google Play. This has been a Jumpstart HR production. Join us next time for another edition of the Business, Life, and Coffee Show.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. Start building your website today. If you want a website, go to squarespace.com. You can build a site that looks professionally designed regardless of whether or not you are a professional designer. You can use their intuitive and easy-to-use tools. Squarespace has state-of-the-art technology to ensure your site's security and stability. It's trusted by millions of people and some of the most respected brands in the world. How much does this all cost, you ask? It starts at just $8 a month. And you get a free domain if you sign up for a year. Start your free trial today with no credit card required at squarespace.com. When you sign up for Squarespace, make sure to use the offer code STARTUP to get 10% off your first purchase. Squarespace. Build it beautiful.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah, we're going. Where are we going?
Where are we going? Do we ever really know? In this case, I actually do. My wife Nazneen and I are going on a rare night out to dinner. My mom is in town. She's watching the kids. And Nazneen and I have a lot of stuff to talk about. So, let me start here. How much debt are we in?
Oh, God. Are you going to put this in the podcast? I feel like this might be a line that we cannot cross for the podcast. Like, personally, how much debt are we in?
Yeah.
All I will say is that we are in more debt than I have ever been in my life.
From Gimlet, you're listening to Startup, the podcast about what it's really like to start a business. And today, what it's really like, I have a small cold. That's why my voice sounds different.
I mean, really, we should not be doing anything. Like, we shouldn't be going to this dinner. We should be
opening up a can of beans at home.
Campbell's Pork and Beans.
We're at episode 10. Episode 10, people. I never thought we would ever get this far. Regular listeners know I've been chronicling the launching of my podcast company. What started as a pathetic pitch on a sidewalk near a Los Angeles strip mall has actually turned into a company with 2 podcasts up, more podcasts on the way, employees, money in the bank. Today on the program, what we're spending that money on. Also, some sage advice from a Florida pizza baron. So on this walk to the restaurant on our rare night out, my wife Nazanin and I talked about how we got into debt in the first place. It started when I became an employee of the company I'd started. Before taking a job with myself, I'd been getting a pretty good salary. I'd been working in public radio, sure, but I'd been working there for a while, and I was effectively too highly paid for me to hire myself. So I accepted the job for myself at what amounted to a 75% pay cut. And before I go any further, I want to acknowledge we're fine. My wife has a good job as a TV producer. We're not going to starve. It's simply to say that a 75% pay cut, you feel that. And things that we used to have money for, holiday trips, for example, 4 plane tickets to the grandparents for Thanksgiving, that goes on the credit card now. But, you know, holidays, they're almost over. I don't think we'll go any more into debt. Like, I think we're going to be okay.
I don't know. You know, what I worry about is that, like, I feel like you don't have a very realistic sense of money. You're like an optimistic person. And I feel like that works against you when it comes to money.
So should we talk about money?
Let's talk about money.
So I went through...
This is my co-founder, Matt, and I, early December. And one of the reasons we haven't been paying ourselves very much, we don't want to add any more than we have to the spending side of the business until we have a clearer picture of how the business is doing financially. And so today, we're sitting down for the first time to take a look at that.
And these are all approximate numbers, but they're correct.
It's been 3 months since the first episode of Startup, a month roughly since the launch of our second show, Reply All. We have an office, we have 8 employees, we're paying salaries and benefits, and we're getting revenue from the ads that we've been running on the shows, ads that you'll be hearing in another 10 minutes or so. What we don't know is, how is this all adding up? How much are we spending per month? How much are we bringing in? By way of comparison, Matt pulls up an old spreadsheet that we'd built over the summer, a 3-year month-by-month projection, basically a picture we drew back then, before we started, of what we thought the future would look like.
This massive Excel file.
I remember that. Look at that.
So much more detail than we need.
A lot of things are going basically the way we imagined it. We saw ourselves having 2 shows up and running. We figured we'd be at this number of employees. Where we miscalculated was in our assumptions of how many people would be listening to those shows.
So Yeah, this is audience per episode, this line here.
And so we were projecting, so P1, where are we right now?
We're now in P, so we launched in September, so September, October, November, we're here. How is this possible?
3 shows launched, and then we'll spend a full year, growing the audience and growing the revenue for those shows. And then, once we've got it all figured out, we'll launch our next couple of shows. But looking at the numbers today, that plan doesn't make as much sense.
I've been feeling like the plan it feels too slow now. Like I feel like things have changed so much. It would be nice to sort of start building out some other shows sooner rather than later. I feel like we've already learned, we know a lot now, and the fact that we're so far ahead on our projections means that we could safely start spending more money.
Yeah, I mean, we're ahead of where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know, how...
Matt and I went back and forth about this. Should we start spending money now, getting more shows in the pipeline earlier than we'd expected? Or should we stick to the original plan? 3 shows this year, nothing more until 2016. And ramping up our spending now, even though we're doing better than we thought, it is scary. Sure, things look good now, but will that continue? Will our audience continue to show up? And behind this anxiety, there is another bigger anxiety. An artistic anxiety, I guess you could call it. Can we make things that are good, that people want to listen to? We're trying to make hits, and hits, they're hard to make. There's not really a formula. In fact, what makes a hit is often it has something new or fresh or unexpected that people haven't heard before. It takes time and skill and luck to come up with a hit. And money.
I mean, it's just there are so many uncertainties.
This is my producer, Caitlin. And as we here at Gimlet were discussing this episode of Startup and this tension that's at the center of it, I realized that Caitlin shared a lot of the same anxieties that Matt and I did. But her perspective is a little bit different. She was our first hire. She's been here from the beginning, back before the podcast launched, and she's listened to and transcribed every interview I've done. So she and I sat down to talk about this decision that Matt and I had recorded ourselves talking about.
Okay, Startup is going well and we're launching Reply All, but right now, as it is, you are spread super thin. You're running over to Reply All to edit them and then coming back and doing edits early in the morning and staying late, and so the solution would be, okay, let's bring on another editor, and that's really expensive. And then there's hiring people and those, those are all expenses. And what if you don't make the right hire? What if you just choose someone who turns out to be total crap, and then you have that expense on multiple levels?
You're taking on a lot of the worry and anxiety about this.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started working for you and Matt last summer, I was logging all this tape, hours of tape, and probably 80 hours that I spent listening to you and Matt before I really ever had a conversation with either of you. And so I feel like I just know you guys better than you know I know you. You spend that much time listening to someone argue about a name or a pitch. It's hard not to feel like you're really invested in it.
I guess there's sort of this feeling. I think what's sort of dancing around this conversation is that is the thought that there could become a moment where it doesn't feel as risky.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
and I don't think there will.
Really?
No. I think there's a danger of not growing. And that danger has to do with this other thing that's hanging over this whole discussion. A little podcast you might have heard of called Serial.
Probably heard of it. It's a digital program that has taken the world by storm.
Everyone's heard about it.
It's gone to the #1 podcast in the UK.
850,000 people per episode.
Please welcome Sarah Koenig.
Serial, if you don't know, and I guess I have to do this, right? It's a serialized podcast launched by my former colleagues at This American Life, in which they essentially reinvestigate a murder that took place in 1999. It's amazing. If you haven't heard it, download it now. It's entirely worth it. And also, just as an aside, if you're listening to the sound of my voice right now and you have not heard of Serial, you occupy a very strange niche in culture, and I'd like to hear more about you, frankly. Seriously, if this moment is the very first time you've heard of the podcast Serial, tweet at me, at Abex Lundberg. I want to hear your story. But anyway, the point is, Serial is the most successful podcast in history.
As you can see, you are the world's first superstar podcaster.
It's leading a vanguard of reinventing the form, and it's made everyone realize that the potential audience for podcasting is much bigger than anyone originally believed. Lots of Serial fans are out there now looking for new stuff to listen to in that same vein, stuff that's highly produced and narrative, stuff that's like what we're trying to do. But Serial was in development for a long time. Some of the most talented people in radio working for over a year. To do something that comes close to that level of quality, we need to start laying the groundwork now.
Clearly, there's an opportunity. We need to seize the opportunity. The market is growing faster than we thought. There is a moment here, and it's a moment that we can capture, and that argues for doing more.
You're feeling that too?
Completely.
So Matt and I went over the numbers.
Okay.
Back on the walk with Nazneen, I told her about the conversations Matt and I had, and how we're doing better than we thought, but that means that probably we're going to spend more money than we thought we would be at this point as well. And I also told her what that all boils down to for her.
So it means that I feel like we still can't pay myself, we still can't pay me very much money. You know, which means that it's sort of on you still.
Right. Right. Yeah. Would you like to know how I feel about that? I mean, I feel like sort of, I feel pretty uncomplicated about that. I feel like, when I met you, I didn't have a job, and, I was making, when I did get a job, I was making very little money, and I had a bunch of graduate school debt, and, there's never a moment where you made me feel like I'm paying for you to be able to, figure out what you're going to do and have a career, and, so I feel sort of proud that I feel kind of proud of it. That I can make enough money so we have to go into a lot of debt. But at the same time, I'm also really worried about it all. You know what I mean? The anxiety and the any bad feeling I have is associated with just being worried about money.
You don't feel trapped.
I feel trapped. Because I am trapped. We're both trapped. You know what I mean? I'm trapped, but I don't know. It's okay.
Coming up, lessons from the pizza man after these words from our sponsor. Startup is brought to you by QuickBooks, the easy-to-use software to help you get your business launched and on track. QuickBooks can help you keep track of your expenses and so much more. QuickBooks will provide you with the tools and flexibility to grow and run your business. I talked to Christine Cass, the CFO of Real Food Solutions, a company that makes an anti-nausea granola bar that they call the Anchor Bar. And to keep her business running smoothly, Christine uses QuickBooks. Their reports help her keep track of her expenses and paying employees. But there's one report in particular that Christine really likes checking up on.
My favorite report to look at is the invoices. Right on the home screen, it has a great little chart.
Invoices meaning how many, what?
Invoices outstanding, right? So people that we are selling to that owe us money.
Wait, and you can see who's overdue?
Yes.
Who's overdue?
Right now we have a couple overdue invoices.
Can QuickBooks, is there a button you can press that says send muscle?
I haven't found that button yet, but you know what? QuickBooks does have a lot of apps that you can add into the system, and we haven't fully explored all the options.
There's got to be a keyboard command. Control Function, Control Alt Delete, M. Put some muscle into your business with QuickBooks. For startup listeners, QuickBooks is offering a special 90-day free trial. To learn more, go to quickbooks.com/startup. That's quickbooks.com/startup. Startup is also brought to you by JustWorks, the place to go for help with your benefits, payroll, and HR. If you're starting a business, JustWorks will help you take care of your team, and they make it affordable. JustWorks' easy and intuitive software can help you automate payroll and compliance. Running a successful business is hard enough, and the thousands of little details to keep track of can sometimes feel overwhelming. With JustWorks, you can focus on your business, and they deal with the paperwork. JustWorks will process your payroll automatically, set up your team's benefits online, and help you save on healthcare. It's just that simple. Grow your business, not your busy work. Go to justworks.com today and mention startup to get 15% off your first year. Check them out, justworks.com. I want to do something a little different here. One of the things, the unexpected things that's happened since we launched this show is that so many people have reached out to share their own stories about starting companies. Some offer advice or encouragement, others want to commiserate. And I started calling some of these folks up just to talk to them. These conversations, they've been really interesting. One, it's just interesting to hear how other people have done this thing that I'm trying to do. But two, they have a lot of great advice. And it's not the usual advice you might get from reading a business book or something like that. The advice that comes out of these conversations seems more hard-won, more precise. And I want to play one of those conversations right now. It's with a guy who runs an operation in Gainesville, Florida.
I can hear you.
Yeah, you're not getting any mic level. Why not? Why not? Let's see if there's a way to boost mic level here.
This is your job, man. You're supposed to know how to do this stuff real good.
I know. He and I talked a while back when our studio was still a bit of a work in progress. But eventually, I got things working. Just first of all, just tell me who you are. Just so you can get your name on tape. What's your name and what's your business?
Well, my name is Satchel Ray, and I'm an artist who runs a pizza joint.
So one of the things that I feel like I know about you that our listeners don't know about you is your wonderfully, amazingly insane website. Could you just describe your website?
The guy who does my website, he tells me all the time, every time I see him, every month or so, like that it's probably the only website on the internet that's in Flash. And I don't really know what that means.
Honestly, I don't either, but I get the drift. Satchel's website, satchelspizza.com, is a throwback. That's definitely what it feels like when you're on it.
In the restaurant, in the physical restaurant, we add things all the time. It's hard for you to go in and not see something that you haven't seen before.
Uh-huh.
And I want the website to reflect that.
Satchel told me. His dad had been disabled with a brain tumor when Satchel was a kid. His dad wasn't able to do much but sit in a chair all day. Satchel got a job in high school working at a local pizzeria, and the proprietor there became a father figure to him. Taught him all about making pizza and running a restaurant. In college, Satchel went to art school, then became a hippie. Spent a lot of his youth traveling, coming back and working odd jobs and taking off again. Jamaica, Mexico, all over the U.S. Eventually, though, he got older and started thinking, I need to make a living now.
I remember in my 20s, I thought if I could just find some rich guy to give me $10,000 a year, I could just paint all the time, and they could have my paintings. Maybe I get to keep one or two. But I didn't really find a way there. But I did grow up making pizza, and I knew how to make pizza. So I decided that I would open a restaurant, and if nothing else, it would give me a place to hang my painting.
If you said that to the people in your life at that time, how many of them thought you were actually going to succeed in doing that?
Well, not many. I mean, not many did think I could succeed. But, you know, I came from a pretty strict Southern Baptist upbringing.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, you didn't drink or smoke or have sex or anything. I'm dance. I mean, we were real strict Southern Baptists. And so while I did stray from the straight and narrow in my 20s a little bit, I still had the core foundation of a spiritual background and of, you know, my mom, who took care of my dad, when he was handicapped, she had to become the breadwinner, the mother, the father. She had to take out the garbage, mow the grass, go to night school. So I never had a problem with work ethic. I love working. I love building things, making things.
So of the stuff that I'm going through right now, trying to launch this business, is any of it feel familiar to you?
Well, I tell you, I remember a lot from opening my restaurant in 2003, and I was there day and night, and my son was a little over 1 year old, and I was just thinking, is this going to work? What am I going to do to make this work? And my mind was struggling all the time. How can I make this catch on? And in some ways, you're struggling trying to figure out if it's going to work and how it's going to work as well. You seem to have a lot more access to capital, and so that's a good thing because that really helps get things off the ground.
Yes, it does.
But we struggled for a while, and then it caught on, and it caught on more and more. And now I don't have to worry anymore because it's always busy, and people love it. And so my whole idea of being able to be an artist and have a pizza restaurant work, and I spend probably more time making art than making pizza now. I mean, I wanted to build concrete sculptures in my yard, and my wife was like, "No way, you're crazy." And so the restaurant gave me a place to build these concrete sculptures. And so the restaurant gave me the outlet to be able to express all the art and the folk art that I had inside me and I wanted to express.
You became your own rich guy to support you.
Exactly.
How rich did you get, by the way?
Well, that's a sensitive subject because, there's people who think my pizzas are too expensive. But my goal is to pay people really well and to have have a low turnover rate for employees and have employees that are really happy. But we did over $2 million last year in sales.
Wow!
And I was able to in the economy downturn, I was able to buy a house, at the beach nearby.
Right. You're quick to describe yourself as an artist who happens to be an entrepreneur, but it also seems like you definitely have a knack for making money. And I was wondering, did you hear the episode where one of my investors, Chris Sacca, was talking about me, and he said, "I can't tell if you're actually want to build a big company or whether you're just trying to do an art project here."
Yeah, I like that. That was good because you're. I don't know how frank I can be here.
You can be totally frank.
You sound like such a bumbling idiot talking to the guy, and I'm sitting here cringing like, oh my God, this guy, he's got all this money, he's, Twitter or whatever. I don't know who that was before your podcast, but to hear you talk to him, I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. But, the thing is, people, I think they're endeared to artists. That's to me what you're trying to do. You're just an artist who's trying to become a businessman or an entrepreneur, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just thank God for good friends who know how to work QuickBooks, because I do think that you're an artist trying to do something really big, and it's a good thing you've got that partner, because he seems like he's got a good mind for business.
He's
and
amazing.
He can help you put that part of it together.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And that's really the secret of my success.
Yeah,
has been all the good people that I have around me that help me make things happen, whether it be the gift shop or managing the prep or the office. I mean, I surround myself with people who are positive and who can solve problems.
Right.
And when I do that, my whole enterprise flourishes. And I think that's probably what you're going to do as well. It's more important for you to see your vision and to make a lot of money. And then I think when people think that way, they end up making money anyway.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll have scenes from an upcoming episode of Startup in a moment. But first, Startup is brought to you by JustWorks, the place to go for help with your benefits, payroll, and HR. If you're starting a business, JustWorks will help you take care of your team, and they make it affordable. JustWorks' easy and intuitive software can help you automate payroll and compliance. Grow your business, not your busy work, with JustWorks. Go to justworks.com and mention Startup to get 15% off your first year. Startup is also brought to you by QuickBooks, the easy-to-use software to help you get your business launched and on track. If you're starting a business, QuickBooks can help keep track of your expenses and so much more. QuickBooks will provide you with the tools and flexibility to grow and run your business. And right now, QuickBooks is offering Startup listeners a special 90-day free trial. To learn more, go to quickbooks.com/startup. That's quickbooks.com/startup. Coming up on a future episode of Startup, we return to a question that's been central to this whole series. What kind of a company are we anyway? Are we a content company? Are we a technology company? We talked to somebody who knows a lot about technology, Marco Arment, who helped build Tumblr, the blogging platform.
You're one of the premier app developers in the world, so you would be sort of like the perfect choice for that third member. But you're saying that's not a worthy goal.
No, as we were listening to that in the car this weekend, and my wife and I were yelling at the radio, saying, no, that's wrong, don't do that, listen to your wife, she's right, do not do this. And, by the way, your wife's advice has been amazing on the show. You should definitely listen to her more than almost anyone else you've talked to, or actually more than anyone else you've talked to that I've heard.
That's coming up on a future episode of Startup. To subscribe to the podcast, go to iTunes and subscribe, or check out the Gimlet Media website, gimletmedia.com. It was designed in partnership with Athletics. They designed the brand new Gimlet logo, also the new Reply All logo. Reply All, by the way, is the brand new show we launched about the internet. It is amazing. If you haven't heard it yet, please go and subscribe. Reply All. You can find it on iTunes or at gimletmedia.com. You can also find everything you need to know about the music we used on today's show on our website. Special thanks today to Build Buildings, who wrote and performed our special ad music. Mark Phillips wrote and performed our theme song. Editing help from Lisa Chow, Starlee Kine, and Caitlin Roberts, who also produced the show. And if I could ask a special favor of everybody, I learned something about iTunes rankings recently that I want to just test out. Apparently, if people rate the show, it helps you go up in the rankings. I don't know if it's true, but I really want to test it out. If you get a chance, go ahead and rate Startup in the iTunes store. Let's see what it does. Thanks so much to everybody for listening. You can follow us on Twitter at Podcast Startup, or you can follow me at Abex Lundberg, or you can follow the company at Gimlet Media. I'm Alex Bloomberg. I'll talk to you soon on the next episode of Startup. Hold this.
You're never supposed to let your interview subject hold the mic. Radio 101.